Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is one that I'm super excited to film for you guys because today we are going to be doing our second full face of REFY beauty. So if you didn't see my last video, I actually did a full face of REFY and I genuinely love the finished result. The skin was so clean and so minimal and I see so many great products here that I cannot wait to play with again today. I feel like so many of the products that I use could pretty much easily become part of my regular routine, so I'm very excited to get into this one. We also have a couple of shades of the bronzer, the blush, and the lippies that we haven't tried out yet, so if you're curious to see how this turns out, then just continue watching. Okay, so starting off with primer, I'm very excited to try this one again. This is the REFY Face Primer Glow and Sculpt in the shade Clear, and this one contains 40 ml. So once again, I thought I'd give you a nice close-up of the applicator because as you can see, it actually comes out of this roller bowl. So you actually squish the product on the inside. And then as you can see, the product comes out the top. So then you go right ahead and you just start rolling it onto the skin. So I'm going to go right ahead and start popping that all over my skin. And then I'm taking my fingertips and I'm massaging that into my skin. I've been really enjoying this primer. It feels so hydrating. It's so lightweight. It's incredibly thin on the skin and it absorbs super quickly. So next thing is REFY Beauty doesn't have any foundations or concealers. I'm going to go right ahead and pop on these two. So the foundation is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Medium to Full Coverage Foundation in 118 Light Medium. And the concealer is the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer in 14 Light Medium. So I'm going to go right ahead and pop them on and I'll be right back. So now that I've done my foundation and my concealer, the next step I have to do is bronzer. So I've actually got two shades left to try of the REFY Cream Bronzer. The shades I have to try are Dune and Onyx. I'll go right ahead and open them all up so you can see them all compared again because I have 4 shades in total. So here are the two shades that I tried in my last video. So you've got Sand and Tan. And then here are the two that we're going to be trying out today. So once again, Dune and Onyx. So you can see there's actually quite a big jump and this is going to be way too dark for me. So I'm going to be super light-handed. But I just want to see what the color looks like on my skin tone. So to apply the bronzer, I'm taking this brush here, which is the REFY Duo brush. So I'm starting by taking the Duo Fiber side and I'm tapping into the cream bronzer in the shade Dune. And I'm going to start applying that straight to my cheeks. I'm also taking some around my forehead. So as you can see, for my current skin tone right now, while I still have a little bit of reminiscent tan, I'd actually say the shade of bronzer is just a little bit too light because it's not really showing up. So I'm going to build it up and then we'll move on to the shade Onyx. So next, as I said, to darken up my bronzer, I'm taking the same Duo Fiber brush and I'm tapping into the shade Onyx very lightly. I'm going to work it into the palm of my hand and I'm going to start applying that right over the top. And then the same thing for the forehead. Yeah, I actually feel like putting that over the top of the shade Dune actually subdued it quite a bit. So I'm going to take it straight from the pan and build it up. So you can see on this side, by layering Onyx on top of Dune, it actually worked out quite well for my skin tone. The good thing is they're very sheer and they're very buildable, so you can layer them up if you are my similar skin tone and maybe think the bronzer shade will be too dark. However, I am a medium skin tone and I would say if you're any darker than me, even the shade Onyx, I mean, I'll try it on its own one time, but I feel like the shade Onyx actually isn't very dark. So I'll give it one more layering and we'll see if we can get it a little bit darker, because I'd say if you're a person of color, this is definitely nowhere near dark enough for you, so I'd love to see them create a few more shades, but the formula blends like butter. And then moving on to blush, I still have 3 shades left to try of the REFY Cream Blush. I have the shades Rose, Citrine, and Cherry. So here are the two shades that we tried in our last first impression. So you've got Peach and Malaya. And then moving on to the shades that we haven't tried yet, I've got Rose and Citrine. And then we've got this shade here, which is called Cherry. So I think today let's try out these two shades. I'll put one on each cheek and then I'll rotate them later so we're even. So I've got Citrine and Cherry. So I'm taking the opposite side of the duo brush, which is the black buffer brush, and I'm tapping into the cream blush in the shade Citrine. And I'm going to start applying that straight to my cheek. So there is what that shade looks like. And then for the other side, I just wiped off that brush on a tissue and I'm tapping into the cream blush in the shade Cherry. And then I'm applying that straight to this side of my cheek. So there is what that shade looks like. It is so pretty. I actually can't tell which side I like more, but I feel like so far all 4 shades of this formula are all super pretty and I can see myself getting a lot of use out of them all. I cannot wait to try the last shade, but so far I really feel like this is a top product from the brand. It's really pretty. So now that I've evened out my cheeks, I'm going to go right ahead and start applying some powder. This is the REFY Skin Finish Water-Based Powders and I've got the shades 1 and 2. So here is what the packaging looks like. It's got a little twist off top. On the inside you can see there's a little stopper. And then on the inside you can see the powder comes out of this little net. So here is shade 1. And then here is shade 2, so you can see in comparison it's a little bit more pink. So to apply the powder to my face, I'm taking the REFY Beauty Sponge. Here is a close-up of the REFY sponge. As you can see, it says REFY right there. It's a really unique shape because as you can see, it's very flat along many of the edges. It's completely flat down the bottom. It's quite small, which I feel like is nice for the under eye. So I'm taking the beauty sponge and tapping into the shade 1. And I'm going to start setting my under eyes. You can immediately see just how smoothing this powder is. I mean, look at the pore area. It's completely blurred out. It's also one of those powders that has that really cool cold sensation, which is so unique. And then for the rest of the face, I'm taking the sponge into powder number 2. And I'm setting the rest of my skin. Yeah, you can immediately see right there just how blurring it is. It is such a nice powder. So next, to add a little bit of glow back into the skin, I'm taking the REFY Gloss Highlighter in the shade Topaz. So here is what the component looks like. So you take off the cap. Squeeze a tiny bit out the top, grab some with your finger, and then I pat a little bit onto the top of my cheekbone. It is such a unique formula because it doesn't separate the powder underneath. It definitely feels super thin, like you barely feel the texture, but it's super high gloss and it's not sticky at all. Like, look how beautiful that is. It is such a gorgeous product and you can see super high shine. I'm also going to take a little bit above the brow, down the bridge of the nose, and the cupid's bow. So seeing as REFY doesn't create any eye products, I'm actually going to take the cream bronzers once again and create a simple eye look. So I'm starting off with a cream bronzer in the shade Dune and the Real Techniques shading brush. So I'm going to tap that straight into the cream bronzer. And I'm going to pop that all over my eyelid and into my crease. And then I'm switching over to the shade Onyx with the same brush. And I'm going to start creating some depth in my outer V. And I'm going to really take my time blending this out. Tapping into the shade Onyx once again with the same brush. I'm going to start running that on my lower lash line. And once again connect that to my upper lash line. So there is the base of the eye look. I'm going to use a few different powder shadows and just lock this down, and I'll come right back. Okay, so I finished off my eyes just quickly. So I started by using my VIEVE the Muse eyeshadow palette. So I started off by tapping into the shade Merlot, and I took that on my lower lash line, upper lash line, outer V, and just a little bit into my crease, the same places that we used the cream bronzer in Onyx. Then I tapped into the shade Love on a big fluffy brush and blended that through my crease and lower lash line. On my lid, I've got this shade here called Divine, which is so pretty. So I've got that all through the center of my lid and my inner corners right here. And then lastly, I took Velvet on a small brush and I really tightly buffed that along my lashes. And then I created a outer half wing liner using my Tarte Maneater liquid liner. And then I applied a couple of coats in my Bite Beauty Upswing mascara. And then I added a half set of lash. So these are the VIEVE half lashes in HL3 Whisper. So now that the eyes are done, I'm moving into brows. So I'm starting off with the REFY Brow Sculpt in the shade Clear. So here is what the bottle looks like. As you can see, it's nice and sleek. Underneath the cap, you actually have the comb. So you can see there's a little brush tip and then a little comb tip. And then when you unscrew the lid, there is what the wand looks like. So you can see it's a tiny little spoolie and the product is white. So this time when I try it, you can see I've already got my powder and most of my face done. This is normally the order that I regularly do my brows. I found the last time that I dried this, maybe my skin was a little bit too wet and slippery, so I couldn't get it to hold as well. It held as soon as it was dry, but it took a little bit longer than I'm used to. So I think today I'm going to really work it into one brow at a time. Really back combing it in there. I let it sit in my brows for about 15 seconds, so now I'm using the brush side and I'm going to try and get my brows as up as possible. Now I'm flipping to the comb side and I'm going to really try and flatten the brows. I'm going to go through one more time to really try and see if I can get those brows to stick straight up. And then I'm taking my pinky finger and just pressing the hairs down. Yeah, I feel like that works so much better. You can see the hairs are a lot more flat. So now that I've got the brows as flat as I can get them, I'm going to try out the other shade of this product right here. This is the REFY Brow Pomade, and this one here is in the shade Dark. So here is what the container looks like. As you can see, it comes in a minimalistic tube. When you take off the cap, the shade name is actually written right here on the lid. And then underneath you can see it actually comes with a little brow brush. And then when you unscrew the bottom, there is where the pomade is kept. So you can see there's actually not a lot of product, but you can see it's super convenient. And then so you can compare them, I actually used this shade here last time. This is medium, and then here is dark. So I'm going to start by taking the little angled brush and dipping into the pomade. I'm going to take some of the excess product onto the palm of my hand. You can see how dark that color is. And I'm going to start popping that through my brows. So there is that brow. I don't want to go too strong in the front because I feel like it can get very blocky, but I mean, that time is actually a lot more successful than last. So I don't know if the other one in medium was just more dried out, but that actually felt a lot creamier. I got a little bit of crumbling here, but you can see I managed to fill in the tail, which I couldn't do last time. So that actually is a little bit more promising. And then the other brow product that I have left to try is this shade of the REFY Brow Pencil. This one here is in the shade Dark as well. So here is what the packaging looks like. As you can see, it's a very slim component. And then when you take off the lids, you can see the pencil and the spoolie. As you can see, it's a super small fine tip. And then on the cap, it actually has a little note that says, do not twist up more than 2 millimeters. So it's a very fine, precise tip. So I'm going to go right ahead and start drawing a few very small individual hair strokes. So I just swatched medium and dark right next to each other on my hand, and I was actually thinking dark would be way too dark for my hair, but I actually think it looks kind of nice, so let me know what you think. Do you like medium or do you like dark? So moving on to lips, as you saw last time, I picked up all 6 shades and 2 backups of the REFY Lip Sculpts. So I have 2 in the shade Blush, 1 in the shade Rosewood, 2 in the shade Taupe, 1 in the shade Dusk, 1 in the shade Fawn, and 1 in the shade Sepia. So last time I tried out the top 2, which were Blush and Taupe, so I'll go right ahead and swatch them all again. So there are all the shades swatched on the back of my hand. So going this way forward, you've got Blush, Rosewood, Taupe, Dusk, Fawn, and Sepia. So I think let's use these 2 almost at the end, so not the last one, the ones next to them, which are Dusk and Fawn. So I'm starting off with this shade here, which is called Fawn, and I'm going to start lining my lips. And then I'm going to start filling in just the perimeter. That is such a pretty color. I genuinely love that so much. I think when I eventually go and pick up the new brow products, I'll actually buy another backup of that shade because that is just so beautiful. Side note, by the way, you guys, after the last video, I was washing these off for like an entire day and a half. These are super long wearing. And then in the bottom, you can see there's actually a sealant. So you're actually meant to put that right on top. And then to fill that in, I'm taking this shade here called Dusk, and I'm popping that right in the center of my lip. That combo is actually super pretty, but to make it a little bit more glossy, I'm going in with my REFY lip gloss in the shade Clear. So here is what the component looks like. As you can see, it's a squeezy tube with a little metal tip applicator. On the back of the metal tip applicator, you can see it's a little bit more flat, and then there's a little hole in the front here where the product comes out. And the product itself looks like this. So you can see it's a little bit more of a clear fluid. So I'm going to go right ahead and just apply that straight onto the lips. I actually really enjoy the feeling of the little metal tip applicator. You normally think it's something a little bit more gimmicky, but I actually feel like it's nice and cooling on the lips, and I think it actually adds to the experience. So that's definitely one to try. And then the last thing to put on is the REFY Body Glow. This one here is in the shade Topaz. So as you can see, the packaging is pretty much the exact same thing as the face highlighter. So I'm going to squeeze out a tiny bit of product onto my finger. Rub that between my fingertips and apply that straight onto my shoulders. I love the texture of this one. I find that a lot of the times these body glow, body oil type products tend to be really viscous and really thick and tend to be really sticky. This one's actually super lightweight and it's got that kind of glossy dew highlight, not so glittery, which I think is quite nice. So yeah guys, this is the second full face REFY beauty. I had so much fun sitting down here and creating this finished look, and I'm honestly super obsessed. Let me know what you think of the finished result, because I truly feel like it's giving me 90s, early 2000s. I don't know if it's the white tank top and the jewelry and the darkened brows, but I'm truly living for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, then you guys know what to do. Please feel free to leave me a like, comment and leave any requests that you have down below in the comment bar. Subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell and drag it all the way down to all to become a part of this family and be notified of all my future videos. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys! Oh my god, my eyeballs. Why do they do that? I actually think... Oh. Not my eyeballs. Oh my gosh.